but now we have a war. So I'm going to bring on the greatest duo in news, Joe Hanush and Michael Voss. Hey guys, what's going on?
Hello.
Where do we begin? I actually am good. I know where we're beginning. I don't know where this is ending.
No, well, you mentioned Bike Week, so I'll start with that. What I've been doing with Bike Week the last several years is avoiding the bikers. I used to partake. I used to go down to you know these parts, Main Street and Seabreeze and US 1. Sure. You know what I'm talking about. And kind of partake in the festivities. It's fun. They're a fun group. They're very laid back. They get a bad image, like they're these badass people, but they're not. They're nice. They're usually pretty cool people. So but lately I've been trying to avoid that completely. So that's like what I've been doing lately.
Yeah. So how about you, Mike? Have you ever rode in your life? Have you ever a rider?
Yeah, of course. I rode a bike for many, many years until I got I got hit in California, and it broke, shattered my lower leg. I have a rod in there now, about 5/8 of a difference between my two legs.
Really?
Van hit me and then ran off. We think they were illegal aliens. Left me in the middle of the road. Yeah, I was riding. I never went on to the bike rides. Kind of wanted to, but never did. And my bike got totaled, which is why I stopped riding. But otherwise, I'd still be riding. Mind you, it is known. A lot of people don't pay attention to it. Funny thing is, I've never had a license in my life.
For a bike?
No, I have never had a license in my life.
Oh,
really? I don't have a license to drive. I just drove for 7 years. I was riding my bike 7 years. No one ever asked. First time they ever asked me. Yeah, and first time they ever asked me, I was laying on the ground. Would have broken my leg.
Where's your license? What?
And the cop didn't care. He didn't care.
Flew away. At that point, you could just say it must have left my body. It flew away somewhere. I don't know where.
No. It's like, okay. Meanwhile, I'm holding half my leg, half is broken like a pretzel. It's like, bigger issues at the time.
What part of California were you in?
LA.
You're in LA. Holy moly, man. That's
I lived in East LA, Hollywood, and then in the Valley, I lived over by West Hills.
So you never went to Sturgis?
California who know that area. That's where
I mean, East LA is kind of famous, but you never went to Sturgis or came down here to Bike Week here?
I wanted to go to Sturgis, and I probably would have if I didn't get hit. But no, never made it. And I besides, I was only driving easiest way for most people to recognize it. It's a Honda dual overhead cam from 1975. Most people won't know what the hell that means. Remember the bike that Fonzie was riding in Happy Days?
Oh yeah,
that was it. That was my bike.
I love Happy Days, man. That was a great show. So I, the first 2 years, so I've been down here 5 years, full time, almost 6, I guess now. And the first 2 years, I did go down to Main Streets, which is Main Streets is in Daytona Beach, and it is the place to be for the bikes. And Buck Cherry actually closed out the festivities 1 year, which was phenomenal. And I will be back down there again. I think it's on Saturday. There's a band called Gunshine who are amazing and really gaining a lot of popularity throughout the country. And they are actually going to be on my show later in the week. I think it's Wednesday, but I think Wednesday they're going to be on the show. I've interviewed them a bunch. If you read my blogs, they are tremendous, and they'll be playing at Boot Hill Saloon and down on Main Street. So yeah, I haven't gone every year. But I do go, and they are really mellow, and it's kind of fun. But it all depends on the band, really, if I'm going to show up. But I love it because it brings in money, and the tourism is great, and I do really love it a lot. That's the important thing, Matt. I mean, I get up like 1, 2 in the morning to start my day, and I can hear the bikes, and I just love that sound. It's just, to me, it's great.
I hear it right now.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, if I open my window, I could probably hear it. But probably the folks online can hear it, but it wouldn't be good for the lighting. So I'm not opening my window. Joe, we should have you go outside and just put your phone up there so we can hear.
I can hear it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's all over the county.
I love the sound.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Love it. Yeah, I never rode on one, let alone rode one. Yeah.
Oh, it's like flying. It's like flying 6 inches off the ground. It's fantastic.
No, that's really cool. That's really, really cool. So yeah, so that's the cool news. And actually, I'm going to start off with a couple of things before we actually get into the the heart of the matter here. And one of them is, it's going to sound, interesting to some people to hear this from somebody who's hosting a new show. I'm going to suggest people that this could be really overwhelming and compelling, particularly for people in their mid to early 20s who have not really dealt with war, I guess on this scale, military strikes, and I think we will talk about that later, and what an actual war is, are obviously two completely different things. The body bags and all that, and what's going to happen next. And if you haven't been, 30, you haven't been around for multiple decades, you kind of don't know what to expect. Unfortunately, we as Americans probably know too much what to expect when war happens. But I am going to say that step away from it. Keep your balance, even if it means coming back to this later, because we're going to be talking about it. If you feel overwhelmed, go do that thing you love to do. Go for a jog, go grab your favorite bottle of wine, whatever it may be. I have not stopped watching baseball, and I'm still going to do all the fun things I like to do, but I check as I need to, like every hour, just to see what's going on, because that's good for me, but I don't want to be overwhelmed by it, So do what's good for you, even if it means stepping away from this for a while and coming back later. That's perfectly fine. Do what you need to do for your balance, okay? The other thing that I want to say is I have an acquaintance in the UAE. She's a friend, and I've been on her show. She's been on mine. And we have been talking back and forth. And last I heard from her was she sent this photo at 9 p.m. in a city. I'm going to add this to the stage so you guys can see it. So this is in a city called Sharjah in the UAE, and it's roughly about, and I'll bring up the map in a little bit, it's roughly about 25 minutes like northeast of Dubai. So this was, and she put in her message to me, in this particular text, all good with the grace of God. She's been referring to God quite a bit throughout this. Now it is something that needs to be said. They don't have complete freedom there. It is a kingdom, and they do monitor what goes out. And even the show, the evening that we did together, she said that they definitely would be monitoring the show as well. But in the last few minutes, CNN's reporting additional missiles going towards Israel, and as well as the UAE. So I did reach out to her to see what's going on and to see if she responds. And if she does, I'm going to break in right away, guys. So this is the map, just so people know where she lives. I mean, it's literally, think about 20 minutes from where you are. That's what that is. So I circled where she lives up in the top right of the airport, and then pointed out the heart of Dubai, according to Google Maps, is right there. So that's how close she is. What's that?
I can't see it, just FYI.
Oh, you can't see that?
Yeah, because the little phone, remember?
Okay, just me. All right.
Oh, okay. Michael, you can see it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it's just like northeast of along. It's called a port city, even though it's not exactly on the port, but it's northeast of Dubai, basically. So I want to show that to folks, and we will, if I hear from her, I will definitely break in with what she has to say, and we're going to monitor the news while we're on this evening, as far as that's concerned. So, all right, guys, I'm going to start with what I actually put out in the chat, and of course, we welcome all questions that you may have. But basically, should the U.S. be involved in this, and what would you? And Joe, we'll start with you. should the U.S. be involved in this war? And what would you have thought if Israel and Saudi Arabia led a coalition of Mideast countries and the U.S. simply sold the weapons that they used, but weren't actually the ones dropping the bombs?
I think you already know the answer to those two questions from me. It's no and no. I do not want the United States and the government involved in this at all. Okay. That's our resource that we already lost at least 4 U.S. soldiers. That's 4 too many, in my opinion, for something that has nothing to do with us. We have sanctions on the government of Iran. We should not have that. We should have, when goods cross borders, armies don't. That's the policy that we should have, foreign policy that we should have. Regarding the regional, Israel government, Saudi Arabia government, if they're attacked, I think they have the right to defend themselves, 100%. So they should do that. But the United States was not attacked, and we should not be expending resources to attack, to initiate force on a foreign country. And not only have we lost 4 military personnel, they've lost, I don't know how many. I've heard different numbers. I don't want to quote something wrong, but they lost many, many, many more children and other people that live there. And it's again, I want to hold back from some saying numbers, but one of the numbers I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but 80 students, 80 kids at a school. I don't know if that's true. Okay. All right. Well, that's what I've heard. I heard. And let's not pretend that there's no casualties over there. Okay. And taking out a foreign leader is not okay. We shouldn't be doing that. Imagine if they did that to us. Imagine if Iran or some other country came over here or bombed and killed Trump. I'd be fucking pissed off. Like, how dare they do that? And of course, we're going to retaliate for that. So,
of course we would. Yeah, we're a bloodthirsty nation.
Well, I mean, even that aside, you don't take out another country's leader. You just don't do that.
Yes, you do.
Okay. All right. Hold on, Mike.
If they're attacking your country, of course, yes. Okay, do that. I don't remember Iran attacking us recently, this past week or so. Just saying. Gotcha. That's my take on that.
All right, great, thanks, Mike. Before you go, this news is breaking all the time.
Go ahead.
News is breaking all the time, and there's actually at least 6 U.S. service members that are killed. CNN, no warning, no siren. This is the headline: no warning, no siren. 6 U.S. service members killed in an Iranian strike that hit makeshift operations center in Kuwait. So that was from 2 hours ago. So and these numbers are going to be changing all the time. I'm not correcting you because other than I just happened to go on before we went on and I looked at that and it was 2 hours ago. And also I'm not sure that we actually are the ones who took out the Ayatollah. It could have been Israel because I haven't seen attribution to that. And I know it's against the law for us to take out a foreign leader. Not that we don't do it, but I know it's against the law. So go ahead, Joe. Joe, you still.
It's not like we took out the guy from Venezuela, last month or anything like that, right? Yeah,
we didn't.
No. Took out as in killing. I mean killing. Not just taking out. I mean, I don't know that we killed the Ayatollah because I know it's against the law for us to do that sort of thing. And no attribution has been made to that yet. And I think in the long run, Israel.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yes, but you named. Obviously, there's some attacks. I'm not going to say who. I don't know who, frankly. Attacking, obviously Iran, obviously Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE. What else? Kuwait? You mentioned. There's already these attacks going. I mean, it's a regional war already. We're already escalated to that point. So.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Go, Mike.
I've been very patient because, and let me start this with, I appreciate the principles that you have. I appreciate your desire for the most Gandhi-like approach possible, but I find it inappropriate. It doesn't work. That's not the world we live in. That's not the way the world works. Yes, America isn't supposed to assassinate other world leaders. That's generally the rule amongst most nations. When you get into a war and that leader dies, oops, it happens. We don't assassinate, but if we're in a war, sure, we'll take him out in a heartbeat. Why not? Of course we would. This is a smart thing to do, and we did. By the way, we do know who did, which missiles were attributed to taking out the Ayatollah and about 20 of his Shahs, his closest advisors, and the individuals that would have probably replaced him had he died of natural causes. He was 86. That was by Israel. That is confirmed. That was stated by Marco Rubio, I believe, late last afternoon. And it was confirmed by several other news agencies as well.
Okay, so Israel is taking credit for it. Let's put it that way, because all this is, I don't trust our government any more than any other. And if we did it, we're still, from what the rest of the world should know, they should know that Israel did it. There's no way we would take the credit for that.
Sure we would. And it doesn't matter. Because everyone's happy. Everyone in the world is happy that he's dead. They were all hoping we would do this quite a while ago. The world doesn't want the Ayatollah. They just didn't have the balls or the capability to do it, and we do. And we have. And I don't care if it was Israel is the one who's been accredited with that, but I don't really care if it was Israel or the United States. I'm happy it's been done. It's something that for 47 years. This is a war Iran wanted and has been moving towards. And eventually, no matter what, this was coming. You can only have, look, if a country is telling you, if the world leaders and the country is saying to you every single day across the world, they're going to kill you, that you are the devil and you have to be wiped out regardless of your ideology, your gender, whatever. You just have to be wiped out. Guess what? I believe them. That's a lot of commitment to say that every day, 47 years in a row. Yeah, they are a threat to America. They have always been a threat. They are the leader in the world of global terror. That is an absolute fact. The world is in danger, and they have struck virtually every country in the world because of either direct or indirect influence by Iran, with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps going out and directly funding terror. We're talking about Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. Those are the groups that you didn't want to name. And those countries, those rebels, those terrorists are firing missiles almost randomly into civilian population centers throughout the Middle East, besides Iran also targeting civilian population centers. They are terrorists, point blank. They are, it isn't a Middle East war because none of the other nations have reacted. Why? Because the United States is doing it anyway. They don't need to react yet, but they're all willing to because Iran is attacking their people. They've never liked Iran. They don't want Iran, the government of Iran, to exist. And throughout this entire conversation, let's make it very clear for those who want to misquote us. There is a massive difference between the Iranian people who are cheering in the tens of millions, cheering the United States for what we've done, and the Iranian government. They're two very different things. You have a dictatorship, a theocratic dictatorship that wants to promote terrorism around the world and has done so for 47 years. And then you have the people who most recently, not only, but most recently for the last month and a half, have been killed in the thousands, if not tens of thousands, and imprisoned in the tens of thousands for the mere evil act of saying, hey, inflation went up 1,000%. What are you going to do? Oh my God, shoot them in the middle of the street. That's what Iran did. That's how oppressive a government it is. There is nothing positive about it. We should have done this decades ago. So we have presidents with no balls. And that's the problem. Many of the presidents were stuck on this stupid idea that we need a coalition. No, we don't. No, we don't. We are the superpower of the world, whether people like it or not. We are the superpower. We don't need them. And this is just further confirmed that the delusions of the EU are just that, delusions. They think it's the 1800s and they have influence and power. They don't. They're our vassals. We have the power, and we can go into any country around the world, and we can wage a war unilaterally and win. But that's being said, I do not believe the numbers. By the way, you mentioned the school. It's the last confirmed number I heard of, or semi-confirmed number, was 51 children in a school, which is being reported by Iran. Terrorists lie, just like communists. Terrorists lie all the time, every time. We can never trust them. Just like Hamas. Everybody who's ever died in the Hamas war was absolutely a woman and a child, except for a fact that over half of them were men, and more importantly, at least half of them were members of the military force of Hamas. But they lie because they're terrorists. That's what they do. So I don't believe that we hit his school. I do believe they're trying to get sympathy and get their sleeper cells activated because they believe in this lie that's being put out. I am very happy that we're taking this threat to America and the world out, and the world is happy too. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So I got a question. I got a couple things here. First off, you reminded me that I don't know if you guys saw this. This was so funny. Back when we were fighting Iraq, they wanted to make it look like we hit a milk factory. So they had guys walking around and like these like makeshift jackets and said milk on the back of the jackets. I couldn't have been more fake. It was so funny. But yes, they do lie. Of course they do. I mean, they are looking for sympathy, and they know women and children, and they hide behind women and children because they know either if we were to attack, then they're going to die, the women and children, and or maybe we won't attack, which we probably wouldn't do, of course. So it's a win-win for them to hide behind women and children and put military installations, behind and things like that. The other thing is, you kind of answered my question when you were talking about, for 47 years, when I heard Trump go back to the Marines barracks and all that, I go, that is not, the reason why he's going in now. I mean, that is like such.
Not entirely.
Yes, he's building a story as to why he decided to go in now.
Not a story, a case. This is the case.
Yeah. Okay, case. I say story.
There's a big difference, and there is a justification.
Yeah, well, the difference is perception. But the point of the matter is, and you kind of said we needed a president who had the balls to do it. So why didn't he have the balls to do it the first time? There's no difference between what's going on now and then. So why didn't he have the balls to do it the first time?
Well, there's a lot of difference. The first thing he was doing, it wasn't his first choice. And while many people would have liked it to be his first choice, it wasn't his first choice. His first choice, as it has been with almost everything we've seen him do, is diplomacy. And he broke the absolutely horrific Obama-Iranian nuclear deal, which provided them with hundreds of billions of dollars to be able to spend on terrorism, which they did, as defined, and that came directly from then Secretary of State John Kerry, January 2016 on CNBC. Yeah. You don't have to believe me, look it up. But besides that admission, they were allowed to build missiles, which is why we had to get rid of that deal, which is the missiles we now see them using into Ukraine, because the missiles were sold from Iran to Russia to attack the Ukraine, along with some drones. But those are also the missiles they're using now to attack all of their neighbors. This has been one of the big problems, and Biden helped enable this too. So we have this history that has been built up over decades. They have killed thousands of Americans. They have helped through the terrorism. They have killed hundreds, if not thousands, of people in every country around the world. So Trump didn't have the support of the United States. We know people like Milley were working against him behind his back to help China. We know that Democrats were gumming up the works throughout the entire federal system to slow down any and every action he was trying to do.
Are you talking about the first term? Because I asked you the first term.
This is his first term. Okay. And he wasn't familiar with being a politician. He had been a businessman. So you have his learning curve, the impediments being put in front of him throughout the entire process, a military that was sluggish and being led by individuals that I personally believe were traitors. Milley is a traitor. in my opinion. And so they're countermanding and slowing down his actions as commander-in-chief. Now, when he comes back, he knows far better how to deal with all of those governmental issues, as well as to deal with these nations, because he's dealt with them before. He's watched them. He saw what the delay tactics that were being used by Iran on Biden, how they used Biden to get sanction after sanction lifted, and the money that was coming from those sanctions was used to fund the terrorism of Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, to plan out and kill people on October 7th of 2023, to kill 34 Americans, capture 22 Americans, kidnap them, torture them, sexually abuse them for 582 days. He saw all of that and said, hey, we got to put some ultimatums down, smack down on the sanctions, make sure they're back in place, try and work out a deal, which he has been trying to negotiate for over a year. And Iran was playing the same game. Meanwhile, they're building up their weapons to continue to fight and to be able to attack Europe, not just Israel, Europe and the United States. And every day that we allowed that to go forward, we became more and more of a target, both overseas and here at home. That doesn't even count the sleeper agents that were allowed to enter into America under the Biden-Harris open border policies. They are an absolute threat. And I'm happy that they're gone, that the Ayatollah is gone. I am not crying any tears for him. And I don't shy away from the fact that, yeah, we're in a military conflict because of it. Yes, soldiers.
Yeah, okay, I think everybody's happy about that. I don't think there's the sane person that thinks that the world isn't better with him being gone and that regime not in power. Joe, I'm sure you got a lot to say, so the floor is yours.
Yeah, and I was nodding along with that. Yeah, personally, yes, I am happy that he's gone. And I was just visiting my parents and some other aunts and uncles that are immigrated here from Iraq during the time when Iraq was fighting Iran for 8 years. So they immigrated before, during, and after that. They're happy he's gone. So personally, yes. Anytime there is a foreign leader who is tyrannical, and obviously, yeah, you can't talk bad about the government over there without going to jail. So yes, any tyrant I'm happy is no longer in government.
So you're watering it down. We're talking about they don't get thrown in, they get killed. Let's stop watering down. And the news media is trying to water this down. The New York Times watered down the Ayatollah. It's trying to make him sound like such a sweet old man. Let's talk the facts and tell the truth. And we see the American news media throughout the entire weekend were avoiding showing Iranians across the world, including in the United States, were celebrating. We know for a fact that CBS, one of their reporters, was covering one of the celebrations of Iranians in America that were happy that the Ayatollah is gone and the chance to have freedom. And CBS told him not realizing he was on a hot mic, and said, don't show that, show the protests, show the white liberal progressives who are angry about this. And he said, no, I'm covering this because it's part of the news. Because want to say Orange Man bad, MAGA bad, Republicans bad. Oh my God, you took out a terrorist. I'm not upset about that, but okay.
There's even some MAGA folks who aren't happy with this. I haven't had a chance to dig into that story, but I have seen the headlines that Marjorie Taylor Greene came out saying that she wasn't thrilled that we did this.
Well, there's always going to be. I say these things. There's always some people who will be upset. One, because they want peace. They don't want to have a war. They're afraid of a forever war, which is what Trump actually promised not to do. No forever war. He didn't say he wouldn't have any wars. And he has been trying to clean up the mess made by Obama and Biden, but he never said he wouldn't have a war. He said he wouldn't have a forever war. By the way, we don't have a forever war. First of all, it's a military action, which is authorized by law. The second thing is not one American troop has put a foot on Iranian soil. So, yeah, that's not a forever war. So
it would be for folks that don't know and I'm not trying to dump people down here. Just I want to bring it up for perspective. Iraq and Afghanistan are very low in population compared to Iran. Iran is, for lack of a better term, I don't want to call them modern, but they're certainly not like technology-wise or whatever when we went to Afghanistan and Iraq. It's going to be bloody if the United States tried to do what they did in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's going to be very bloody.
Yes and no. I mean,
and Mike, the other thing I want to say before we get too far away from it, you're saying it's not a forever war. You don't really know that. We don't know what's going to happen and how long it's going to take. Trump said 4 weeks. Other people have said it's going to be quicker than that. Even Mike Johnson recently came out and said that he thinks it's going to be quicker than that. So we don't know that. You're really surmising that.
Well, no. First, one, to address Joe's point, there's 92 million Iranians. Most of them are not the hardline fanatics like the IRGC, which are the ones with the terrorism. Yes, a lot of them would defend their own homeland, but remember, they have been talking about protests and building up for the protests more and more by year. And most recently, just a month ago, that's why they're dancing in the streets of Tehran. They they want the change. So that's one factor. Let me also, and yes, technology, they are better. They are about the 16th, 10th strongest military in the world. True. That's on very conventional rifles and just body. That's not the same thing as fighting. But that being said, and yes, things can change, but I believe looking at the mission as it has been progressing, the mission objectives as they have been stated by Marco Rubio and President Trump, looking at what has been said to the people of Iran, I have no reason to believe or to disbelieve Donald Trump when he has said, we're not putting troops on the ground. This is not a forever war. This isn't our war. We are removing the enemy's ability and willingness to fight us, but it's their country. As he said on Saturday, this is the opportunity for the Iranian people to take back their government and to have a government they want. But it's not America putting in puppets. It's not America putting down troops in a base in there to be there forever. We're not doing that. We have no intention of doing that. That is not our mission plan. That is not our actions. That's why we're using bombs and missiles, tomahawks and drones. We're not using troops. We don't even have troop carriers in the region. We're not going in. So this is not a forever. This is in no way, shape, or form anything like Iraq or Afghanistan. If anything, we can say Trump did learn the lesson from those two conflicts. Yeah. And what we are doing is we're getting rid of the oppressive government and leaving the rest of the country to the people to decide whatever the hell they're going to do. We may be good, maybe bad, but it's up to them.
I hope you're right. That would be just catastrophic. That would be the worst thing. That would be by far the worst decision that Trump has ever made as president, would be putting troops on the ground in a classical Iraq, Afghanistan style invasion or occupation. It would be just a mess. So I hope there are people in the room, and I'm sure this is probably the majority opinion, or all unanimously. I doubt there's anyone telling Trump we need to go in, Iraq or Afghanistan. There's not one person telling him to do that. So I think that is off the table, and I'm glad about that. But yeah, and plus in the last 25 years since the beginning of the Afghanistan and Iraq wars, where it is going to be about drones, it is going to be about taking out air, like no flight zone or whatever. I think there are troop carriers around. Certainly, I think they attacked a U.S. ship, if I'm not mistaken.
No, and I could be, perhaps I've missed this, but to my knowledge, the aircraft carrier groups are there, which include destroyers and corvettes and some other state-of-the-line ships to protect the aircraft carrier. No troop carriers. Troop carriers. One of the
All right, hold on, guys.
you
Hold
can't
on, I got the news here.
Go ahead.
Speaking about getting hit, this came across CNN 13 minutes ago. U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia struck by 2 suspected Iranian drones. No injuries reported, but this is only 13 minutes old. So I just wanted to bring that in. Just keep everybody in the loop.
And when I was visiting my parents, they had it was a YouTube channel that was on. The guy was showing Jerusalem and also someplace in Iran. I'm not sure, probably Tehran, but like one of the places in Iran. And there was like a little bit of smoke going on in the background, but they were also showing an embassy, U.S. embassy. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what country it was in, but there was a U.S. embassy where there were people of that country. Again, I don't know what country it was, but they were throwing tear gas at each other and having more than a protest. It wasn't a protest, it was violent. But
are you talking about Libya? Are you talking about Benghazi?
I'm not sure which one, but it was. They were, some of the people, there weren't a lot. It was like 50 people, and then like the U.S. embassy, and they were basically just throwing.
That was Libya, Benghazi, because of the failure of Hillary Clinton, absolute abject failure to provide them with the resources they needed to protect the people in there. That's what she came up with the line. What does it matter? They're dead anyway.
This was yesterday.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about in the past, the Benghazi.
No, this was yesterday.
Yeah, this is going to be. It's a war. Yeah, I expect these things, and I don't mean to sound callous about it, but as someone who has served, have many family members who've served, friends who have served, it is a reality of those who signed up. You are there to be shot at and to defend America from current and future threats. I think a thing that a lot of people aren't looking at is they're looking at this very short term. We've been trained to look at wars and conflicts and politics in general short term. Next week, next month, next election. That's not the way we actually should be looking at the world or our politics. The things that Trump is doing now, the Trump administration, are really issues and ideas, solutions that are looking at 5-year, 10-year, 20-year results. This is all about the future. We take out the Ayatollah and that regime today, America and Americans are safe for the next 20, 30, 50 years.
That's safe from Iran.
But Ayatollah was not going to be around for another 5 years.
He was going to have a successor. He was the second one. There was going to be another.
Yeah. So Joe, you know what I just want to ask you? I want to turn this in another direction, to a more theoretical standpoint. So when, Joe, do you think it's right? It's the right time to use the military?
When we're being attacked.
Okay. Let me turn the screw on that. When we're actually being attacked, or when we have verified intel that we're about to be attacked?
I would have to use verified intel in quotes, because it's do we want to play Minority Report? If we get some intelligence that we think is good, that whoever, Iran is sending missiles to Washington D.C. What do we do? I would want some evidence along with it, of course. There's got to be something. Like the missiles would have to be in the air. Like, okay, let's have anti-missile defenses going on, of course. And if we could trace it to Tehran, of course, we're going to try to take out the person that made that decision. Yeah, that's when I would use it. Yeah, and then when we were attacked, the last real attack on U.S. soil was obviously 9/11. Yeah, we should go in there and we should take out Osama bin Laden, which we did. I wish that the entirety of that attack, that holding accountability using our military in foreign country, should have been just that one special forces going in, get 30, 40 guys that are specially trained. You use intelligence on the ground to know where the person is, where Osama bin Laden, his lieutenants are. You go in, you get out. They don't even have time to think. You neutralize them. You either capture or kill them, and that's it. That's what you do.
Okay. All right, I got to bring up this comment real quick from Forrest Mommy. She's saying hi to Michael and hit that like button, everyone. So I got 3 like buttons that you should be hitting. You should be hitting No Sound Bites Allowed. You should be hitting this show, The Opinion Guy, and you should be hitting any show that Joe is a guest on. So all 3 of those should be hitting the like, comment, and share, because we want to get the word out of what we're doing here. So thank you very much, Forrest Mommy, for that. I appreciate you commenting. And also, I'm going to take this minute, and then I have a theoretical question for you, Michael, next. But just to announce that we do have a Democrat that's going to be on as much as he possibly can, and his name is John Navarra, and Joe knows him very well because they ran against each other. Joe, what were you guys running for again?
We ran for State House in 2024. We both lost. Okay. How about that?
Yes. Gentlemen, so the locals know Bill Partington. He was a mayor here as well. NSB, right? New Smyrna Beach, right?
No, Ormond Beach. He's my mayor.
Oh, okay, Ormond Beach.
He was my mayor, now, yeah. He was on a city commission for like 22 years. He was the mayor the last 6 or I think 8 years, maybe. Then he ran for State House. And, you know, we ran against each other as well as John Navarro. There's the Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. It's a heavily Republican district, so of course the Republican wins, and that's it. Yeah.
So John does have an occasional obligation on Monday evenings. He's going to be on for the first time next week, and tentatively for the 16th. And he said maybe one more weekend, so whatever, probably the week after the 16th. So yeah, and he has, he has our temperament. He's got his strong views. I had him on last night. If anybody wants to, I'll put last night's show in the show notes so people can get an idea of what he's all about. But yeah, I think he's going to be good. He's really excited about coming on and expressing the Democratic viewpoint. So I'm psyched about that. John Navarra will be on the show, and he's running as well. And you can catch up with what he's running for. He's running for Daytona Beach City Commission. For folks who know Monica Paris, he's running for her seat on the commission, and so I will have Monica on as well, hitting some local news. So my question to you in the theoretical realm is, so you're saying it's not a forever war. Yes. Do you have, what's your definition of, what's the dividing line for you of what is and isn't a forever war?
The best way to describe it is from the examples we already have with Iraq and Afghanistan. Let me be very specific about that. A forever war is where our troops are in a country. We have fought over land in that country. We have control or operational control over regions and the infrastructure within that country, whether it's all of it or most of it. But we do not take control of that. We don't own the country. We don't own the government. The failure in Iraq, the failure in Afghanistan wasn't the failure of the troops. It really wasn't even the failure of the mission. It was the failure to actually take the country. Right now, Iraq and Afghanistan should be territories of the United States. And if they were territories of the United States, we would not have the difficulties we have right now. Those countries would be prosperous. We would be still building up the infrastructure of those countries, giving their youth educations. They'd have running water, electricity, hospitals, teachers. It would be good for our economy, be good for their economy. They'd be in a very different world. And that's because when you actually take over and you are rebuilding that nation, you're building the infrastructure, it's very difficult for dissidents to come around, grab a bunch of kids and say, hate America, let's go and fight some more. It's very difficult when they're going to school, when they are able to get food on a regular basis, when they're able to get TV, they have the internet, they have electricity on a regular basis. It's very difficult to recruit them. But it's very easy if you have a puppet government in place and you're fighting constantly, but you don't take any ownership. We don't build any infrastructure. That is a forever war. And that is the problem, because a lot of people around the world have gotten to this idea that colonizing is bad. They have this idea that taking over a country that you've been fighting in is a bad idea. Somehow that's not nice. War isn't nice. Terrorism isn't nice. And the best way to end that is to bring back stability and structure, which we didn't do. And that failure led to a forever war. So again, and some people always question me on this, and I've said this many, many times. If we have an American soldier put their foot on foreign soil and they are fighting, then we own that soil, period. And if we do not, then we shouldn't be fighting that war. It's not worth it. But literally, if Donald Trump were to send in American troops into Iran, my qualification for that would be, then we own Iran, period, full stop. We'll rebuild the country after the war is done. But if we go there and anyone sweats or bleeds, it's ours. That's the lesson that we have from Iraq and Afghanistan. Not that we fought. We had good fights. We deserved it. We should have been in those fights. We did win those fights. The failure was in not finishing the job. And instead, and because we didn't finish the job, we kept fighting. There's
a saying that we win the war but lose the peace.
That's another way of saying it in a different way. But yes, there's different connotations to that. But yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All righty. So, Mike, I'm going to stay with you on this one to start. And that is, do you think the people will actually rise up, as Trump said, this is your moment? And I know other people in the administration have. And also, do you think the prince, let me see if I can get his name right, Prince Reza Pahlavi is the person who should come back to oversee that?
Okay. I think it's Reza Pahlavi is the former, he was the prince, the son of the Shah of Iran back in before the 1979 revolution that brought us the Ayatollah. For the young people who weren't alive when all of this stuff started.
Actually, there's a 60 Minutes piece, and they said that he was actually in Lubbock, Texas, being trained by the Air Force, the United States Air Force in Lubbock, Texas, and was going to go back, to Iran when the revolution started in Iran.
Yeah,
so he hasn't been back.
He has a long history with the United States. His family did as well. The Shah wasn't perfect by any means,
right?
But he wasn't the Ayatollah either. And there was no international terrorism being supported by Iran back in the 70s.
And it was a modern,
very different world.
It was a Western-leaning country.
Yeah, but I'm not going to sugarcoat. The Shah wasn't perfect by any means.
No, exactly.
He was a harsh ruler. That being said, looking at the question you're asking is do I think the people will rise up? Yes, I think they have been looking for the opportunity. It's very difficult to rise up when you have no weapons and only the military does, which is something that Democrats, progressives in America want to see happen. This is what happens when the people have no way to defend themselves and only the military and the government does. That's oppressive. And then so that's their first. That's why they haven't had any kind of revolution up until now. Now they have the opportunity. We've already damaged the government. We put that into disarray. The military is in disarray. This is their opportunity to do so. The problem they have is they don't know what freedom is. They've gone through 2, maybe 3 generations that have never known what freedom is. They don't know how to live independently or to be self-sufficient or self-responsible. They've never had that opportunity. While we could guide them, that's a very, and I know that's a squishy kind of word.
We're almost going into the forever war thing there.
It's squish. I mean, we could have an advisory council working with whomever the Iranian people pick and help them in that, to give them resources and training. That would be fine. But ultimately, the decisions that they make is only for themselves. I think that could work. I don't think that's what they're going to do. The region, the Middle East overall, is known for its kings, its dictators, and that's from Libya and Egypt going all the way over to Saudi Arabia. It's the entire region is like that. And they're most likely going to wind up with either, I don't think the prince gets back. He has some support, but not enough. Not enough people remember him. Like I said, it's been 2-3 generations. But I think someone similar to him, maybe a friend that he puts up or someone like that, will rise up and take over and be somewhat of a dictator light. A very strong militaristic leader will take over. That still could work out okay over time. It's questionable. Do I think it would still be better than what we see right now? Yes. Anyone who isn't a terrorist supporting global terrorism is a win. And it might be a very big win for the people of Iran, or it could be just a little win for the people of Iran. But in terms of the world, which honestly is my priority, the United States, that's all a win for us. So that's the way I kind of see that. I hope that answers that.
Yeah, it does. All right, Joe, same question. What do you think? Will the people rise up? And is this prince who's been out of the country for 47 years and pops his head up every now and then, at least in the American media, the right person to go in there? He has a plan. He delineated on 60 Minutes last night, but he says he wouldn't be a ruler. Is he the right one to lead this coalition that Michael would like to see?
It's whatever the people decide. Frankly, I think there should be an election. And I honestly don't know if Iran has had elections or not. I assume not. So they probably don't even know what it is. But I think that is one idea we could kind of introduce, kind of influence to the people of Iran. Certainly they've heard of it. They know what it is. But they never had one before. So that's what I would suggest that they do, because I don't think, and this is going to sound silly, I don't think they should just kind of have a new leader and then that's it. Because we've seen that before and it doesn't work out very well. I think there should be some kind of coalition government, for lack of a better term, and then see what the people will kind of agree with. And then that one would be the president. And I'm hoping they go with a very weak president and go with more of a democracy or republic type thing. I see Michael shaking his head, but I'm just taking a different point of view here. Honestly,
I understand.
I agree with you. I think you made a lot of very insightful suggestions of what might happen, and I don't want to disagree with any of them, frankly. I just think that they could explore different options, and I think if we're setting people up for success, a new country, which is essentially what we're looking for here, I think it should be as much. The people should feel like they have power, and just installing the son of the last guy is probably the worst thing you could do, honestly. But I think he should be part of the process. I think someone similar to what they just had should be part of the process. Someone with a completely different idea should be part of the process.
So you're kind of agreeing with me on my thought of an advisory council to the government, to the new government of Iran. I think we kind of agree on that. I don't agree with coalitions personally because I believe they're weak. They're constantly based on infighting and power, and they get corrupt instantly. So that's why I don't like that.
There's going to be corruption
anyway. I think we agree.
No, but the reason why is that they've had a strong centralized control. Let's not have that. Let's try not having that. Remember, our revolution was based on that. Our Declaration of Independence was against one guy. Like, let's get rid of King George. So I don't think they replaced it with a constitutional republic. So
they don't have the same culture. They don't have the same culture in the Middle East.
I agree.
It could be something.
And I'll tell you this: I think they will go with what Michael suggested. I think they will go with a single strong leader rather than a coalition, if you will. So I'm just saying, I personally don't like the single figurehead leader, strong leader kind of guy. So that's all. I think a country should not be identified with one leader. It should be identified with principles of that, like the shining light on the hill. It should be the idea, the land of opportunity, not Trump's America or Biden's America.
Yeah. So listen, if we're breaking through to Iran tonight, I just want to let you guys know democracy is messy. You've never had a democracy before. It's messy. I think I'm going to quote the great Winston Churchill. It is the worst kind of government, but the best that humans have ever come up with. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. And also states' rights. We call them states here, if you want to call them provinces or whatever. Yes, a weak federal government and stronger states governments is far better because local is always better. So those are the things. The local community making their own decisions is always better than having somebody 500 miles away controlling what you do. So
I'm gonna.
My opinion.
We're killing Michael with this decentralized libertarian nonsense, right? I'm going to go further.
Yes,
I think Iran should, and again, I don't know the makeup of the people. We mentioned Sunni and Shia before. I don't know if there's a Christian culture or Hindu culture or whatever in there, but maybe think about breaking up the country a little bit. Maybe have like a little. West Iran or whatever kind of thing. And,
no.
Okay, or not. Again, like, we're talking about libertarian perspective and constitutional. Like it's a regional strength. We don't want a centralized strength. So I'm just suggesting some things that I think would be better long term. So if you do end up with that bad guy as a leader, you don't have him controlling the whole country.
I get that, and I understand the intent behind it. I truly do. And in more of a Western nation, a Western culture, that's more probable. It's more possible. In the Middle East, that will result in another war. They'll have a civil war that'll last 20 years. You can't do that. That's just not going to happen. You can have a very small coalition of individuals, not coalition, but kind of a coalition. Small group of
coalition.
You call it ugliarchs. You can have a small group of ugliarchs that run the country. You can have one strong leader that runs the country. But if you're talking about regions and provinces and different ideas, no way. That will be a civil war. That's Syria. That's Syria right now. That's the Kurds trying to keep themselves alive in northeast Syria.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work. Not in that region.
I think that might be something of a transition. Like in the beginning, you might need somebody who is relatively strong, but obviously not at the level that they just lived through. And perhaps it's written into their constitution that as time goes by, they start giving more and more rights. Because Michael, I mean, correct. They don't know democracy from a hole in the wall. They've only heard about it, so they have an imagination of what it could be. But perhaps the answer is that it's slowly rolled out, that the states get more and more rights. I know it's dangerous because you might get somebody who's not going to want to give up those rights, but give up that power if the person in control. But maybe it's a slow roll to a place where there is local the local decisions are made locally.
Well, that's why I say that's why I'm saying we'd be an advisor to them. Maybe you can even have a group from the UN. I'm not opposed to having well, actually I am against the UN.
Yeah, you don't say the UN. The UN. You lost me at UN. You lost me at you.
But essentially a coalition, maybe the United States and Saudi Arabia and some neutral party. That'd probably be more like England. I don't care. It could be Botswana. I don't care. But something like that. A small group of a couple of key countries that are willing to put in some money for the infrastructure and rebuild of the nation. They're there as a mostly advisory purpose to make sure nothing goes completely off the rails. No one decides I'm the dictator of the world and I'm going to try and take over everything, just to keep that option out of the window. But otherwise to let the people know, okay, this is how we do elections. This is what democracy is. This is what it is to be a representative, whether it's a parliamentary or more of a American style, to get them to get those steps so they have that stability and they have the assurance that the UAE or Qatar, they're not going to just walk in and take over everything now that you're weak. Your culture is not going to be eliminated tomorrow. Israel isn't just going to bomb and take over everything. Not that they would, but these are the fears they would have. Well, here we have this small council. that's going to make sure those outside pressures aren't going to happen. But you guys got to put your act together. And we're here for every question. We're just going to make sure you've got all the building blocks and resources in place. But it's on you.
Yeah.
Hey, how to start your country for dummies.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it would eventually wind up being, pretty much.
You should just sell these over there. Just drop them from the helicopters and be done.
Exactly.
Can't hurt.
Try this. It's worked for 250 years.
Here's a little criticism, though. As soon as we did this, we started going against it. It's not perfect, but hey, we're doing better than most other places. So I'll take it.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's the other part. If any Iranian, if Iran is getting this, picking this up this evening, yeah, you don't always have to follow the Constitution. It's there if you want it, but if you don't want it, I mean, we had a president kill an American without due process. Michael thinks it's more, right? More that his name is Obama. I mean, come on. Yeah. What's a law? Laws don't matter. They only matter when they need to matter. Right?
It's okay with the president.
That's another part. Yeah, that's another part of democracy. I told you guys, it's messy. I told you it's messy. All right, I was thinking, Mike, you had said, a group, coalition, whatever term we want to use, and you said the third person, it could be whoever, you don't care, it could be Botswana or whoever. That one of the groups in that, let's say that third person has to be a country that they inherently trust, not just because it's us and we're an empire, and Europe has a steep history of democracy. If England was involved, well, relatively, yes, a steep history. I don't know what countries those people inherently trust, because obviously they've been led from a religious standpoint. But someone who could step in there, totally trust, and they could say, okay, we got that person, that entity, that country on our side, helping us, along with America and along with or something like that. I don't know who that would be.
It doesn't really exist.
Yes, Joe.
Well, I was going to say
there isn't one.
Russia or China. They might lean into those, and that could be dangerous. So
yes. All right. All right. Yeah. No. Maybe it's not a good idea.
Well, let me clarify. Currently, China, Russia, Iran hate each other. Absolutely. If they were the only three countries in the world, they'd be fighting against each other. They can't stand each other. At least Iran, under the Ayatollah and that system, they all hate each other. They can't stand each other. The only reason why they ever even try to work together is because they hate America more.
Exactly.
That's it. That's the only unifying factor they have.
No, I agree.
So inherently, there isn't a trust between each of them. I don't.
But do you think? Let me ask you this, Michael. Do you think the people of Iran want to be westernized, or do you think they want to keep their own culture, whatever the society the way it is now? Just how do I use the words here? Like, who do you think they would want to be influenced by, if that makes sense?
I think they have memories of not necessarily per se the Shah, but the 1970s. They were westernized to an extent in terms of they had a lot of modern appliances, they had modern technology. They were one of the cutting edge countries in the Middle East. And in fact, they were a second world nation globally. They were very modernized, very similar to what we would think of in a Europe, a Spain, very much like a Spain or a Portugal. And that was under the Shah. And then they transitioned. And when the Ayatollah took over, the fanatical religious zealots took over, they went backwards in time. They literally took that nation and ripped it backwards in time by a couple hundred years, except for the military. So they naturally, or as natural as any country can be realistically these days, they were already Western and modern, both in terms of their socially as well as in terms of technology. So I would think they would probably trend more towards that. They're not going to be like a Cuba that would just stagnate in 1959, nor would they be the United States, a first world nation. I think they would trend towards being a second world nation, kind of like Spain, possibly like a Greece, something in that nature, with a lot of their culture embedded in that. But still, so they're modern, but they still have a lot of their culture. And how they work out that balance between modern and theology, which they have. Some people rebel against it, some people don't. How do they get that balance? I'm not sure. But that's where I tend to see them going. China would not allow that.
Right, hold on, Joe, 1 second. I agree with that. I can see a little bit of both. I did have a conversation with an Iranian student. So he's a young man now. He was in college at the time. Well, you're a young man in college, but he's this was about 7-8 years ago. He worked in the library at Long Island University where I worked, and I did say to him, like, what's the deal? Do you guys really want freedom? And he unequivocally, so adamant that I never forgot the conversation. Like, he was just like, yes, 100% yes, we want what you have here. Now that's just one person, and maybe his circle feels that way, but it was something that that never left me. How earnest he was in the fact that Iran wants what the U.S. has. Go ahead.
And not to play that down at all, but he's here, right, or was here. You don't leave your country to go, study or live for a little while somewhere else because you love your own country. That's not a thing. So if you're gonna, like my family, they're happy they left Iraq. They're happy they're here. They're happy, because the relative freedom here compared to where they were, from. Of course they're happy with it. What came to my mind in regards to Iran is, I wasn't alive at the time, but you would see pictures from the 70s and before of women in bikinis. Like, that's the way they dress there. And now, if you're a woman, you can't. You gotta have everything on to cover your face, cover your legs, etc. I'm wondering if the women there want to keep that, or they want to get rid of it. If they want to go back to short shorts and tank tops, or they want to keep what they have now. That to me is probably. It sounds silly, but I would love to know the answer to that.
Hold on, Mike. I don't think it's an either or. I think it's both. I think some will and some won't. It's just like here, you have Hasidic Jews, and then you have Jews that don't practice. So I think that it's just going to be that kind of a pendulum,
I tend to agree with that, but what we do know for sure, and again, the United States news media has been hiding this from the American people. But if you go out to the international news, Deutsche Welle, which is DW News, The Guardian has covered this, BBC has covered this. So I've seen it we're talking about credible international news agencies, that even on Saturday night, there were women, large groups of women in Tehran who were dancing. They were in more Western clothing. They had their hair out, their faces out. They were not covered head to toe. And they were out dancing and singing in the middle of Tehran in the middle of the night. There is an interest to be more, at least to some degree, more Westernized than they are right now. But where they are right now is incredibly oppressive. So I don't know that they want to come all the way to bikinis and, New York or California. What's the word I would use for that? Hedonism. So I don't think they want to become California. Actually, no one wants to become California, not even Californians. But they don't want to become complete.
Not even Americans anymore.
But I think they do want to be less orthodox than they are right now. Okay. Like much of the Middle East. I mean, women in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, other places, they are modern-ish. I mean, they get to dress, they get to work, they get to read, but they're not running around. Again, they're not the heathens of California. They're not going that far. They're not that extreme. So right. There is that middle ground.
My contact over there, who by the way is her phone's on sleep mode, and but it's actually 5:11 in UAE right now. So if we hang on for another hour, she might be up eating breakfast and she'll respond.
Yeah.
So but no, she said that the UAE it's about, as far as women's rights are concerned, way better than what she was experiencing in Punjab. But she said that it's still about 50 years behind what women have in America. But one of the things she pointed out, and she said is like point blank, she goes, at least women don't get touched here. So I guess they have that kind of random touching thing in India that they don't have in UAE. At least her experience, again, one person, but that's her experience. And you were going to say something, Joe? Did I? You were okay. All right. So is there anything else, guys, that you think that we should hit on what's happening? There's no updates at the moment.
Yes.
But is there anything? Yeah, go ahead. Go for
one major thing that, and I brought this up Sunday, I brought it up Saturday. There is a warning. Many people may not have caught this. For some reason, the media is not really making this up front. The FBI has put out a warning, an awareness warning, high alert for the United States, not just overseas, for Americans in the United States. This is important. I know there's question about shooting in Austin, Texas, that might have been connected to this. There might have been a sleeper cell activating. But I want to emphasize something a little bit different. We do know that there are sleeper cells in America. We know that there was over a 300% increase in the amount of known and suspected terrorists in the United States under the 4 years under Biden-Harris. We know that there are known or suspected terrorists and cells that have been created in America that we don't know about. That's only we know a 300% increase in the ones we caught. We don't know who else is there. And while some of them may take action, presumably like the one that is suspected in Austin, that was yesterday, but there are many others that will wait until people forget. The next 3 to 6 months, that's the range, I believe, is one of the most probable. Most Americans tend to forget things in 3 months. If this is a shorter term conflict, which to me means 6 months, not 1 month. It's never 1 month. It's probably 6 months, it's probably 6 months. But if the main conflict ends and you're looking at 3 months, 6 months from today, most Americans are going to forget. They're going to be living their own life. It won't be the most prominent thing that they're thinking about. That's when the terrorist cells come out. That's when they start taking targets because you're not looking anymore. You're not paying attention anymore. It sounds, and people think of it like it's a big burden. Oh my God, I'm paranoid. I'm terrified. The young people are running around going, oh, I need another therapist because I have angst. And oh my God, it ain't all that hard, people. Relax, calm down, have a beer. Here it is. All it means is pay attention to what's going on around you. If someone is acting incredibly stupid for no reason, or as the young kids like to say, sus, if they're acting incredibly sus, out of the blue, pay attention. Just watch. It's like someone's going to mug you. Someone's going to get in a fight with you. You see the person coming up to you, you go, that doesn't feel right. Be aware. Be on guard. That's all you have to do. And then if it gets really sus, if you really suddenly start getting the vibes that something's off, or they suddenly drop a bag and keep walking, get 911. That's what it's for. Contact an officer. Say, hey, this is highly sketchy. I don't know why he was walking in the middle of, middle of the street and just dropped their bag on the ground and kept walking like it's something out of one of the Jason Bourne movies or something. That's sus. If you're in a shopping mall or a mall and they suddenly do something stupid like that, go get somebody and say, that doesn't seem right. Can you check it out? It's those little things. You don't have to go full panic. Everyone doesn't have to be running across the streets. You don't have to go and attack anyone. That's not necessary. You just have to go, okay, that's not normal. Let me make people aware so that if it is something, we can manage it and or stop it. If it isn't something, then okay, then we missed. That's okay. Think about it. Terrorists only have to be right once. Everyone else has to be right 100% of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And the one final thing about that, if I may, for all those people who go, for all those anti-Second Amendment people, why do you need a gun? Why do you need this kind of gun? Why do you need guns? Are so dangerous. You need a gun. Screw you. This is why we need a Second Amendment. This is why. Because terrorist cells exist, and some of them exist in America, and they don't care how liberal you may be, how progressive you may be. You're an American, they'll kill you. LGBT, they'll throw you off of a building. Women, they will poison women. They've done it. And they will make sure that they lock you down so that you can't get out of a house unless they say so. And they'll stone you to death just because you exist. This is why we have a Second Amendment. This moment right now.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, Joe, what do you think about the sleeper cells? Is it something we should be worrying about?
I don't know. I think it reminded me of a few things. There was a movie in the 80s, like Little Nikita. I'm not sure if you guys remember that one.
I know it.
I do. Yeah. I don't know what's about, but I know the title.
Yeah, Kristen Slater, I think, was in it.
Yep.
So it reminded me of that, and I probably got to watch that movie again, get a little reminder. I remember liking it when I was a kid. Another one is it reminds me of the suicide bombers, right? Yeah. A lot of those people don't want it. They're basically sleeper cells. They're not people that want to do this, but when they're activated, they got to go, or they kill their family, right? So a lot of people have to do that. This might be the same situation. There'll be people here, and people might not believe there's sleeper cells. Oh, people lived here 10 years, whatever. Oh, they love America now, right? It could be sleeper cells that got here, and their families being held hostage in their country, the country that they're from. And if they don't go through with these threats when they're activated, they kill their family. So it is very real. But I'm reminded kind of what happened with in Ukraine recently. People will use drones in a truck or something, and they'll do that. I think drones are the future. You're going to see not necessarily a bag at an airport or something, or you could still do that. It's just relatively easy. But you might see a drone go into the mall and just blow itself up or whatever, go through the automatic doors or something, stuff like that. So probably watch out for not only someone dropping a bag suspiciously, but maybe someone flying a drone for no reason, around a cottage area.
Right.
I it's scary to live like that, though, honestly. And I'm going to quote George W. Bush here. Live your life. Do what if you live your life in fear, they won. The enemy lost. The enemy won. So live your life the way you want to live it. Be aware of your surroundings, but live your life the way in freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that kind of Mike, is like what you were saying. Like you don't have to panic. Just be aware. I think that we as human beings, the animal instinct is to know when there's danger. So just listen to that gut reaction. When somebody walks up to you, you can almost tell, like, this is not a good person. I better be on the defensive. And so just pay attention to that. You don't have to freak out. You need to be more aware and pay attention to what your inner self is telling you when these people approach you. And I do. I think essentially, Joe, you were mentioning like soft targets, like a mall or something like that. I gotta believe that as soon as this went down, the police in Daytona Beach were doubled up. They already have a plan for a moment like this, and the chief down here, Jakari Young, probably just was like, "We're rolling it out because we got a couple 150,000 people here for the next 10 days." Bike week is 10 days, by the way. Don't ask me how that ever started, how does bike week become 10 days? But it's good. They're here. I like it. So I'm sure they rolled out increased pressure, increased security, based on that. And yes, Mike and Joe, you guys both reminded me of something. As far as the Second Amendment goes, one of the first things Ukraine did is when you want a gun, civilian, we're going to give it to you. Anybody who wants one, so you should never have them taken away in the first place, just for that reason. 100%. Yep. We all need them. You never know when the end of days are coming, and you're going to be by your window firing away. So, yes, 100%. And Mike, you wanted to say something.
You might be surprised how many different individual sheriffs and police don't have a plan. They've never planned for this. They don't really know how to deal with this, which again is why I say to all the people who say, oh, well, why do you need a gun? Because they don't have plans. We have been lulled into a belief that we're untouchable because for a large part of the world, I mean, you had to cross an entire ocean in a sailboat, take 6 months. Yeah, we were pretty untouchable for a large part of history, but that's not the world we're in now. We are touchable. But we still have the impression that no one ever bother us. Yes, they will.
They will.
And sometimes we see that with some of these. We've seen mass shootings like Fort Hood as one example, San Bernardino, Orlando. These are just a couple of things that were acts of terror, and they were, in those cases, Islamic terror that happened in America. Most people forgot about them. No, they existed. They happened, and they could happen again. But just like with those things, and then we went on with our life. It's not to have the fear. It's just to be prepared. That's why never bad for women to know how to use a firearm. You don't have to, but you don't have to carry one, but never hurts to learn how to use it. Never too early to teach a young kid how to respect a firearm and how to use it if they need to. Never a bad thing. And that also, and the more people are aware, the more people who do lawfully carry and respectfully defend themselves, the less likely it is for any sleeper cell or terrorist to want to do something. It's like crime. No one wants to mug. You don't want to mug me if you know I'm carrying a firearm and I'm well trained. I'm not the best target. I'm a hard target. I'm going to fight back. You want to go after somebody who's going to be sitting in the corner screaming, going, "Oh, please take everything." That's who they go after.
So you go after.
It's the same thing with being aware of potential terrorist actions.
Okay, Joey, you were going to say something?
I'll agree with Michael there. The thought that came to my mind as Michael was speaking was, if we're going to teach something in these government schools, it should be probably something like gun safety or just environmental awareness, some survival skills, something useful. I remember growing up in school, and we would have these drills where, we're being attacked. What do? We go in the hallways and we cower down and cover our heads or hide underneath the desk or whatever. And I always thought that was kind of silly. Even when I was a little boy, it's like, that's kind of silly. Like, we're not really doing anything here. And I always figured, like, okay, I guess the adults know what they're doing. So yeah, okay, this makes sense. Now I'm an adult. No, that was silly. That was stupid. Like, what were we thinking? I don't know. I mean, I live here in Florida, so we don't have basements here, but I think that would be the most amount of sense.
Right. Yeah, we did that too up on Long Island. Yep, absolutely. And they were actually, I mean, there actually was the belief. All you have to do is cover your eyes, and you would be fine if there was a nuclear attack, which is quite bizarre. I'm glad you brought up the sleeper cells. It was one that I wanted to hit on, and the thing that really surprised me, that one of the first news flashes about beefing up security was, of course, the major, like New York, LA. You're not surprised if Chicago and Houston does it, but Phoenix did it. And I said to Don, I said, you don't really hear about Phoenix. I said, they must have a credible information that something might go down there. Now nothing's now you're not hearing anything further about the beefing up. Like Mike said, it's not really getting a big play in the news. But yeah, it was kind of weird. And that's the thing to look for from afar. Like what city normally doesn't that's reporting that they are, and why would they do that otherwise? So yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. So there is other news. You guys want to do a lightning round on the? Oh wait. Joel just checked in, and Joel says, "I'm 63. NRA volunteers taught gun safety with Eddie the Eagle program in elementary school." Yes, I'm 62, Joel, and I remember the rifle clubs. There were rifle clubs and things like that. Certainly should bring that back. Absolutely. Yep.
You know what I remember? I remember Officer Friendly in my elementary school and in middle school, and they just them being there is everyone's safe, everyone's good, nothing to worry about.
What is Officer? Was that a real person? Was it like a dad?
I honestly, to this day, I don't know. But we called him. It was a police officer that just roamed the hallways, and we called him Officer Friendly. I don't know if that's his real last name or not, but like I think it was like one guy. I forget if it was elementary school or middle school, but it was the same guy all throughout the whole time, and everyone called him Officer Friendly, and I don't know if that was his real name or not, but
yeah, that's cool. I really like that a lot. So why don't we do like a lightning? No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
By the way, I just found one of the data sets for this, by the way. A lot of people don't know where to look for some of these things. From the Border Patrol itself, there's a link I just put up there. And you can go this is from the United States Border Patrol. It is the terrorist screening data. It tells you how many known or suspected terrorists have entered the United States. In 2023, it was 172. 2024, that's 106. 2025, that number dropped back down to 73. Right now, it's at 34. To give you an idea of how that worked, back in 2018, that number was 6.
Wow.
6 in 2018. In 2020, that number was 3.
I gotta ask this though.
Yeah.
Is this something that has the criteria or technology changed of how they calculate these people coming in, and has the list changed? Because we know whatever administration is in office, they're gonna add some organizations to the list, or they're gonna take off some organizations to the list, depending on which way that organization tilts in their political philosophy. Like I'm sure Antifa has been on and off of that list.
No.
Okay.
No, they wouldn't be. They're domestic, so they wouldn't be even on that. We don't have a similar list for domestically, but you're right. There is some shifting between different presidents. That number will not so much the number shifts, the organizations that they may be targeting or being aware of shifts somewhat. It's not a major shift. Generally speaking, you're a cartel leader. You're still a cartel leader. You're still a threat. This is according to FBI and international data, Interpol and such. So most of those people don't really change that much. But what we have seen is even after the lockdowns, we saw that under the Biden-Harris administration, there was a insane increase. I just told you the numbers 2018 to 2020 we're in single digits.
Yeah,
digits under the Biden-Harris administration, low, about 100, 200 per year, and now we're trending back down. But it means that there is and that what I take from that isn't that while it's bad that we had 172 known or suspected terrorists that entered into America, and we're talking about people like the 8 Uzbekistani terrorists, and they were members of ISIS. They came into America. They went straight to California. They were there for a year before they got picked up and kicked out of the country. What did they do in California? We don't know. Possibly spread and created additional sleeper cells that we didn't know about. They may still exist. That's the problem. So yes, the threat's going back down, nowhere near where it was in the past, but still going back down, trending down. Here's the thing. The threat still exists. and people need to be aware of it. Again, it's nothing to be terrified of. It's not like there's a terrorist in every corner. It's not. But it only takes one to do massive damage. But it's not like there's one in every 100 people. It's not. It's more like one in every 1,000 or less. It's a very small number, but it is a number that exists. And it gives you an idea of relatively how much infiltration, how much exposure we have. Because if that's what we know of, taking the same way of looking at with illegal aliens, if we catch 1 million illegal aliens, that means there's at least another million, probably 2 million, that we didn't catch. Well, if we caught 100 under the Biden administration, we had 172 at the peak. That means we had like 400 we didn't know about.
Joe,
so that gives you an idea.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to say something, Joe.
I could say a lot, but no, it's just I guess I'm a libertarian on this. I'm very skeptical of government lists and the way they track things. I'm going to automatically be like, that's bullshit. Like whatever the government says they're doing, because I mean the whole point of like quote unquote illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants or whatever is that we don't know that they're here, right? So it's just either a ballpark estimate or it's it's just a made up number. I think it's
just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I guess I'm paranoid. Yeah, I think I'm more skeptical. But yeah,
not wrong. I'm skeptical of pretty much anything the government says. But I am curious nonetheless because it is a data point of interest. Mike, if you still have that up, what was it in 2000?
It doesn't. The data set I have immediately in front of me, and you can. Yeah. This is from the Border Patrol of the United States. It's an official document, and you can request additional information from the government to get it. It's public information, costs you nothing. The data set I'm looking at right now only goes back to 2018. So I can't see immediately before that. I'm sure I visited on a regular basis, but I don't remember 2000.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's fine. No problem. You can see where I was going. I was curious to know what it was like the year before 9/11. That's why I asked that.
I'm sure you've heard this before, Charles. Like local governments, local police, especially, they'll change the definition of what a certain criminal activity is just to log it differently. So they could say, "Oh, we're down 25 or 50% in car robberies because they're not counting the something under $10 or like $100, whatever." Or if they left their the door was unlocked or something. Like, well, that's not a robbery. You left your door unlocked, right? Or whatever. I don't know. It's just like I've heard.
They can punch numbers. Sure, you hear that in the news. That's definitely
it's fudged up numbers. So
like in Chicago, where they were instructed by Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, to record a lesser charge whenever they're arresting someone, whenever it's possible. Yeah, that's corruption. That corruption exists usually in blue cities, believe it or not, because that's what the data says, not me. That can happen, but it tends not to. I know that's a fear, and many, 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 many libertarians have all kinds of fears, but that's not what the data tells us.
You do hear that people fudge. You do hear that police departments are fudging the numbers. That is in the news. I mean, overwhelming majority of people, no matter what profession, are fine, upstanding citizens. So obviously, when it is fudged or found out to be hanky panky in any industry, in any level, no matter what, it's man bites dog. Hold on one second, because Mike's being called out by Joe. Did Voss just say a thing from the government cost me nothing? Nothing is free if it comes from the government.
And that should tell you how good that information is. No, but the thing is, like when Michael was reading off those numbers, I'm thinking to myself, like, if there's 1 million people crossing the border every year, and there's only like 10 or 100 or 200 of those are identified as these whatever terrorist cells or cartel members or whatever, that seems like very, very, very low percentage compared to the number of people coming across the border. Like that number should be in the thousands minimum.
No. It is an incredibly low number. Partial, and it makes sense why it's a low number. If it was a higher number, people would be more on guard for it. We would actually beef up. If America knew 10,000 terrorists were trying to cross the southern border within the next 6 months, we'd have the military on the border. I mean, they would never get through, or the majority would never get through. We'd do something. If there's only 5 of them trying to get through on any given month, no one's thinking about it. And how many does it? And realistically, they're terrorists. They're not here to take over the government. They're here to terrorize. How many people did it take to take over a plane? 2. And look at what it did. It's about the terror. It's not about the. We often misunderstand. Okay. We think of the terrorists as military, and that they would do things that a military would do. They don't. They're more impressed with trying to, take out a dozen people at the supermarket rather than trying to.
Okay, but to that point, so those numbers are very high in my opinion now, based on that, because where are all these like mass shootings, for lack of a better term, or terrorist bombings? Where are those going on? Like, how come we're not hearing about 100 of those? Maybe not 100, but like.
Well, you know what?
How do you know?
Before you go any further, you just brought up a great point, Joe. Even how a mass shooting or a bomb going off is defined changes with the administration, because some administrations call acts a terror and some don't, depending on what they want to define it as.
No, a mass school shooting is one person being,
and it can
a gun goes off and someone dies, or not even dies, someone is injured with a gun on a school campus. School shooting.
Well, again, now you're talking about something very different. That's the media, which has a spin, and the propaganda. That's why they say there's hundreds of school shootings every year, or mass shootings every year. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. And if you actually look at and you can go to any of them, Every Town USA and all that, there's been 300 school shootings this year. Well, if you're talking about gang members on a Sunday at 10 p.m. at night, then okay, but that's not the definition. That's not. That's propaganda. Now, there is a definition of what's a mass shooting, and it's been very consistent. It's 4 or more individuals, not including the shooter, that have been killed and or wounded by an act of one individual or a small group of individuals at one location. That's actually the definition by the FBI. It's very clear. It used to be, before 2017, the definition used to be 3 or more people. That's the only difference that it's been in the last 40 years. So it's a very clear. Now, when you go outside of that, you see news agencies and political organizations push propaganda to get people fearful, because that gets more votes and that gets more donations. Doesn't mean it's more accurate. Again, I go back to mass shootings in the hundreds, if you include gangs on a Sunday in the middle of the night, and there happen to be on the football field. And they do count that. It happens a lot. So that's not accurate. There is a definition for these things. It doesn't really change. Most people don't know where to look for that information. They don't know to pay attention to news organizations lying to them. We're so used to just hearing it and go, well, CNN said that. Well, CNN lies a lot. They're people. How many people have been fired in the last 2 years from NBC for making up their own story or plagiarizing one?
All mainstream media lies. Fox News lies. American One lies. MSNBC lies. CNN, they all do. Which is why all the ratings are down. Fox News like to say we have the best ratings, but you have less people watching it now than you did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, etc. Nobody watches.
I haven't watched any of those in years.
Yeah, I watch MSNBC, as you guys know, just to hear what they're saying. But Yeah. And I go to all of them just to see what's up. But yeah, I mean, I realize that they're lying, and I take it for what it's worth. But of course, they're not my only sources. I watch the show called No Soundbites Allowed, and I comment on it pretty regularly. And of course, the Sharp Way and the Larry Sharp.
I watched The Opinion Guy.
The Opinion Guy is a fantastic show. Thank you very much. Yes, and the host of that show is a wonderful personality.
Yes,
by the way.
I agree.
So yeah, all right.
It's that people need to do some of their own homework sometimes.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I have a lot. I've been doing this a long time. I know a lot of the resources. That's why I was able to put that up in 30 seconds. I know exactly where I was going to look for because I know the data is there. And don't believe me, look at the data yourself. But it's the fact that no one's telling people, oh, by the way, there is a definitive source of data. And you can tell me, and Joe, to your point, but I don't trust them. At least you have a data point to work from. Even if you think it's corrupt, at least it's something to start from. And then from there, you can work out whatever you want to work out and do even more research. But at least you have something. It's not next week, on, I don't know, ABC News or the New York Times, they suddenly say, well, there's 1,000 coming in every weekend. Well, that would be a lie. That's unusual. We would notice that. Right. Those politicians that go, it's never happened ever. Well, you're lying too, because we know it is happening. You can say it's small, but you can't tell me it isn't happening. And you can't tell me it doesn't have an impact.
And that's my point. It's like if these are known terrorists coming in, according to the government saying these are terrorists, these are the bad guys, these are people that are here to do good or done or want to do bad. Here to do bad. Even 50 coming across a year, that's one a week. Like that's one supermarket. Not saying all of them are successful either, but like you would hear about these attempts or whatever. Every week, it'd be almost nonstop. You would hear about it. So,
how do you know you don't? Think about it. There's a lot of stuff that's happening right now that they keep regional. There are. Think about, as an example, Minnesota. In Minnesota, we now know there's at roughly $9 billion in fraud that happened over 7-8 years. But there was regional news on that for 6 of those 7 years. Okay. The whole local region we're talking about. In fact, when the Minnesota thing blew up, which is within the last 3 months, the mainstream news media avoided talking about it. Remember, CBS was actually trying to debunk some of the YouTubers that were actually pointing out some of the fraud, and they were trying to debunk them. They were trying to keep this covered up. There are many shootings that are happening. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to you guys about the Tumbler Ridge in California. Then there was another shooting after that. There's been several trans shootings. There was a trans shooting. A father shot his ex-wife and his eldest son in, was it Philadelphia? I believe it was in Pennsylvania. I'm forgetting or was it Vermont? I forget. But that's like... And that was local news. They didn't want to talk about it. So these things can be happening, but we just don't have all the regional news, and the media doesn't make it big.
Joe's point was terrorists, not just shootings. Not to put that down, but Joe's saying if like 50 people come across the border, that's one a week. That's one too many. But I think, Joe, you were referring to terrorists, not just people.
Correct. People that are here to do bad things, like the last example you gave, that's homegrown. That's someone that's like, someone that, whatever, temporary insanity, just going crazy in life and decided to harm his family, basically. I'm talking about people that came here from another country to shoot up as many people as they could in a supermarket,
That would be in Texas, Austin, Texas, yesterday. A guy who's 53 years old came from Angola, as I recall, went in Texas, was in front of a bar in Austin. He's been in America for 20 years and is a naturalized citizen. Came out in the regalia of Iran and proceeded to try and kill 3 people. He was shooting. Police got there in 1 minute, so he only shot. I think he killed 1 person, wounded, I believe it was 4 others, but he was going to keep going, except the police got there within 1 minute. Thank God.
Oh,
That's rare.
yeah, that's great.
It was in downtown. It was a popular area. They got there in 1 minute and engaged him. So, and that's one of the things that always saves lives is someone with a gun engages the shooter, then civilians start living from that moment on. If they had took another 3 to 5 minutes, we would have had possibly a dozen people dead. But that guy, who was in America for 20 years, apparently at this moment, it's being investigated and it's suspected, so I can't say it is, but it's suspected that that guy was a sleeper cell.
Okay.
So they do happen. But that story isn't national news, or at least it wasn't for most of the day. It wasn't national news. That
happened today?
Yeah, it's being reported today. Happened yesterday.
Okay. I didn't hear about it.
Exactly. They a lot of these stories, and there's many of them. I'm just giving you a couple of examples, but there's many of these stories. They are regional. They are happening. I can tell you that back when we 2022, when we had 67,000 Afghanistan, when we were running away from the Taliban under the Biden administration, we took in 67,000 Afghan nationals that were not verified. And the Biden administration started shipping them across the country. And what we saw was a pattern that emerged in 2022, that any community that had taken in over 100 of these refugees, over 100 men, young men, then that area had a significant spike within a month of that on sexual assault. Now, that was a trend. It wasn't in every single location. It was in most of the locations under those particular circumstances. If they had 100 or more young men that were shipped into an area, and we saw this in Minnesota, we saw this in Wisconsin, we saw this in Oregon. A lot of them were sent into the Midwest for some reason.
Okay, so I actually just looked this up, and this is coming from the BBC, and it is just 4 hours ago about what happened in Austin. And it does say here that the FBI, so the news hasn't changed. The FBI is looking into a nexus of terrorism linked to the war in Iran, among other possibilities. So it could be, I mean, so they're just not dismissing it, but it's not that you were inaccurate, Mike. But they're certainly not. They're certainly considering it as one. Because if they're saying other possibilities, then it is one of many that they're looking at. And as far as the war itself goes, this is just 2 minutes ago on CNN. Vance says Iran strikes aimed at forcing regime mindset change, not a long-term war. So that kind of goes into what we discussed for a large portion of this evening's show. And I think, folks, we're going to leave it there. There's no way we can get into the State of the Union right now. I did line up a lot of things. I take notes during the week, and I have a just for this particular show. But and so we'll leave it there for this week.
Time flew.
Yeah, I know, it really did. We're at almost 2 hours. I mean,
I thought we were only at an hour but I guess it just kept flying.
And Joe, your phone, you did something with your phone?
I was charging it literally until I came on here, so it was like 99%. So
nice.
I haven't gotten my warning yet, honestly. So
very cool.
I'm shocked, by the way. I'm amazed my phone has lasted this long. I really am surprised.
I'm glad it did. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks so much. And if you are watching from Iran, if you guys are getting this, like, comment, and share. Don't get
in trouble though. Don't get in trouble.
Let your future let your neighbors know that shows like this exist. We do this every month. We do, and yes, and pick up the Constitution as soon as you can. Just Google it. If the web is down, I know they blocked the web there, but so I'm messing around.
They shut it down.
I know. You never know who's hijacking it and who's maybe watching. Now I'm going to check I got to check the stats and see where we're getting this show to tonight. Anyway, wherever you are in the world, I don't know what time it is in your neck of the woods, but I hope you had a good time this time. Until next time, we will see you later.